Hello, my friends. Happy Sunday to you. Hi, this is Natasha. I'm so excited to be here with you on this Easter Sunday. For those of you who celebrate and those who don't, just happy frickin' self-care Sunday to you. So I am so happy. Today ended up being a great day with my family, and I really just appreciate and honor where we all are and the ability to get all 8 of us in a room, and that includes my kids and their significant others who have quickly over these last couple years become a part of our new family. And I'm so excited for the opportunity to spend time with them and, the growth of the family. Again, like I was explaining to my kids, families, friends, life, it's like an ebbing and flowing. And there were different times in our life where it was 20, 30 people here, and then it went down to 6, and it's back to growing again. And so it was so nice to have like this experience with them today. Like, we got up early, got things done. There were Easter eggs all over the house, there were Easter baskets around the house. It's just fun to kind of be fun, right? And I think that is the thing for me. Chris was like really opposed. He was like, they're too old for eggs. And I was like, fine. I spent so many years of my life, living on eggshells. So between my dad, who was a high functioning alcoholic, I didn't know which dad I was gonna get. And, I was always on eggshells waiting to see who's gonna wake up on this holiday. And then I realized just recently that it was the same thing with Chris. Every holiday was just full of turmoil because I didn't know what kind of Chris I was gonna get. And I get it now that there is some separation between us, and I have had more time and energy to focus on my own growth. I can see so clearly what I couldn't see before. Every holiday is a trigger for him, and every holiday is a trigger for me in different things. I am fulfilling this, vision in my head of what every other holiday looked like for everybody else except for me. Because again, I didn't know if I was going to have the hungover dad, if I was going to have a happy dad, if I was going to have the dad who was tired and sleeping until noon. I didn't know, and I had to wait around and anticipate what person it was going to be and adjust how I showed up. Okay, was I going to be responsible for cleaning? Was I going to hide away so I didn't get in trouble? I didn't know. And it was the same thing. It went from walking on eggshells around my dad to walking on eggshells around Chris. And it was every holiday he'd wake up grumpy and complaining. And even today, I did this whole writing and this whole revelation in my head that I was oh my God, I get it now. He had a very terrible childhood himself. And so, perhaps the holidays are triggering him and having him respond in these ways where it's I'm not his mom, but he's pissed off at me because, he didn't have these things. And then he's even resentful to the kids for having these things because he didn't. And I don't think he realizes it. And, it's not a conscious thing, but it's every single holiday is filled with negativity, and every day is, but it's extra on the holidays. And for me, it I had all this resentment because it was you're standing in between me and the kids having this experience, this fantasy experience where it's everybody's happy and we're all together and all and I was just trying to force it with somebody. And I get through all my things. I worked really hard, getting little goodies and trinkets to filling all the eggs because he didn't want to participate in it, getting all the stuff for the baskets, putting the baskets together, shopping for the food for today, making a plan because I knew it could potentially rain, and saying, okay, we're going to go to an escape room, booking the escape room, everything. And then I get all my work done. I'm running in the morning. The kids were still asleep, and I hear Karina come in, and he was what is this place we're going to? Is this little hole in the wall next to my client? That place is so small. And I was just like, hey, like, I work really hard at like preparing this. Like, if you have a criticism, like, go ahead, but like that like really hurts my feelings. Like, or make a plan yourself. Like, I'm making a plan and you're just sitting here criticizing it. And so, then I got in the shower, and then my daughter was like, are you talking about me? I'm like, no, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about, like, saying it's so small and it's all like, you don't even know where it is, and you're passing all this judgment and already putting negativity into the day. And I was just like so irritated by it. And I was like, see, this is why I need the separation. I just don't deal with the negativity. And even though I just had this whole revolution that like, this is how he is, it's not personal, it's not against me, it still just feels very personal. I am like, I have this hard time being around negative energy and negative comments. And it's like, it is like my biggest pet peeve. And I know that's back on me. That's my work. I need to like let it go. And literally after that, like I take my shower, I come back in and I'm listening to something. And it was like, again, it was something like, I just realized this. I just was like having this whole like epiphany, and then like, I'm just not going to let it bother me. Like, he didn't want me to do the eggs. He was like, they're too older. I was like, I'm going to still do it. I walked on eggshells long enough. And if he didn't want me to do things before, I would stop. Like St. Patty's Day, I would always put up decorations, and the kids would search for clovers. Like I had sat there and glittered. Yes, I get it's over the top, but this was like something that was important to me, and he would ridicule and put it down and like, oh, it's too much. Don't do it. Nobody wants it. Nobody likes it. Da, 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 da. And so eventually, because I wanted peace and I didn't like feeling in pain and my feelings hurt and all this stuff, I would drop doing the things I wanted. So like, I don't do anything on Groundhog's Day. I don't do anything on Election Day. I don't do anything on St. Patty's Day. And it's not because I don't want to, and maybe I don't, because they're big older now, right? Like on Election Day, we would like all vote, be like, what's for dinner, what's for dessert, and like, we just kind of like have fun with, I like to have fun with things. And like, like we have 365 days a year. Most of them are in repeat, but like some days like today are like signify something a little more special. And so yes, some people may be attending church, some people may be with family, some people may be with friends, some people may be on a hike, some people may not be celebrating, they're just at home chilling and watching Netflix, whatever. Like, there is no right or wrong. But for me, any opportunity to gather and get together and stop your, normal day-to-day life is really important to me, because I know how finite it is. I remember vividly, certain holidays where my whole family was able to gather, my uncles and my aunties and my cousins, and how special that was to me. And that is impossible to do today. I can't gather with my grandma. I can't gather with my aunties. I can't gather with my uncle. I can't gather with my cousins. Like, it's just not possible. And so while it is possible, I really like have this urge to really enjoy it as I can. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity. But I realized again that like, not only was Chris triggered, which resulted in his thing, but I was then triggered because I'm feeling hurt, and it's bringing back all these emotions from when I was a young girl. And my dad, every holiday would be having like his own, like I said, hungover or super happy or intoxicated or just sober and fine, like it was, but I just didn't know who it was I was gonna get. And so it was the same thing with Chris. It was like, I'd either get like the fun dad, or I'd get the like pissed off husband. I'd get the, like, oh, this is something is wrong with me, and like want all like the attention put on him. And I get it. Like, I get why he's doing it, but it doesn't like excuse why it still is a challenge for me personally. Like, that's his work to work through, and just as it is my work to like not let it get to me. So after my shower, I put on something, and then instantly it was like right there, and it was like somebody asking somebody else, both very famous people, but they were asking, it was an interview, and he was saying, how do you just let it go? Like, if you're a good person and you're like out there spreading good, you're sharing all these things, and people come at you with all like negativity and the trolls and the, the things like that. Like, how do you not let it get to you? I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I need to hear today. Because I thought I had it figured out. I went to go take a shower. I heard the negativity and I was like, please stop. Like, I mean, granted, I did stick up for myself, but I also like, I'm like, why does it bother me? Like, why do I allow it into my force field? I should just, whatever, I hear it in one ear and out the other, like his negativity. But I think because he's talking to my kids, and he is also like my kids, our kids, the kids, but he also has an influence. And I think that irritates me that, like, again, like my oldest son, he used to be super positive. He used to have like, the sunny side of life. Like, I'm so lucky and all these things. And then suddenly he heard enough of these complaints, and it was like, we used to all play board games and everything. And then Chris would always be like, oh, great, here we are. That's what it's in the name, board games. It's so boring. And he would say it enough times, and like, I would watch the kids defeat. I'd see my own defeat. And then eventually my kids started mimicking and repeating what they would say, or some of them, especially my oldest one, and then my second oldest too. And it's just like, really, and even to today, and I let it go, like I didn't say anything. It's always like some kind of woe is me, poor comment. Like, we're talking about something at dinner, and he's like, yeah, that'll be great for when I'm living in my car. Like, I'm like, what are you talking about? Why are you living in your car? And then my daughter's like, well, you should know. And like, I'm like, what? I don't even know what he's talking about, because I don't care what's happening. I'm not living in a damn car. Like, so I don't know why are we talking about that on Easter dinner? Like, we worked hard together. Like, we made a dinner that like both of us were in the kitchen at the same time, assisting one another. So like, I'm like, what is this even coming from? But again, like, your work, I'm not tripping on it. Like, I asked what the question, I got the answer, and I just let it go. Because before we used to indulge, and now I'm like, not my thing. So I really had a lot of signs, a lot of realizations today that I didn't quite understand. I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the capacity to understand it, but now I do. And so now it's like practicing finding my peace and maintaining it. And so what I did realize too was, like, in this quest to keep him at peace, I ultimately sacrificed a piece of me, right? Because it was like, well, I don't want to feel bad because I'm decorating, and I don't want to feel bad because I'm going over the top. And there were times that I chose what seemed like the path of least resistance. So, I didn't do anything on St. Patty's Day. I didn't do these things. And I kind of had slowly stopped doing things, but my daughter was like, she kind of like picked up the thing. So it was like, oh, 2 wins. Like, he's not going to knock it if she's doing it. And it still is getting done. But on the same turn, it was like, it wasn't like it stole a piece of the joy and the light, like the excitement that I used to have. And he can only steal something I'm allowing him to take from me, right? Like, I feel like I gave him too much access and too much of a priority, that like his discomfort of the holidays and these celebrations and my over the topness trumped how I felt and what I wanted to do. And I felt like I won because I was in, a temporary peace, right? But at the end of the day, I was, sad. I was disappointed. It was the same thing. Like, I used to always plan things like museums, exploratoriums, boat rides, the beach, the zoo. Obviously when they're little, you do a lot more in different things like parks. We'll all go to play pickleball, we'll all do tennis, we'll all do some, softball in the park, something, right? And again, he would complain, oh, I hate the city. It stinks. It sucks. I don't like the traffic. I'm gone all week. I just want to be home. No. And like, the kids used to always be so excited to go. And then suddenly he was complaining. And then just like little parrots, they started complaining too. And so it just like made me feel oh, we don't like this. Ew, this place is gross. It was just like a constant negative, and it's like fire. Like my daughter today, the same thing. I think because it started with this conversation, it was negativity. Then she heard, me interject, which makes her feel uncomfortable. She has to feel like she picks a side. So she picks his side because he seems the weakest. And, she always gravitates to whoever seems like the most broken. And, fine, I don't need anybody to pick my side. For actually, frankly, I ask you to please not take a side. This is not your business, but again, it's like, I have to choose, if I don't want to be here, are my boundaries, like no negativity on the holidays, and especially like no criticisms. Like if you have a constructive criticism, fine. If you have like, something, a suggestion, like great. But to just say, oh, hey, let's play this game. Nope, don't like this game. Nope, nope, don't like this. Don't like this. So like I said, I'd plan these things. We'd want to go to the city and I'd be like, it stinks. It's gross. It's this, it's this. Okay, great, fine. Then where else? Like, give us a suggestion. Okay, then how about we go to the beach? Oh, I don't want the sand. It's cold. It's this. So it's like, eventually I just stopped planning things because everything was just about his complaining, and then it made the kids complain, and now I'm sitting there pissed off and complaining because I'm like, I took all this time, I spent all this money, I put all this effort in, and instead of getting like even neutral, reactions, it's all this negativity. And then at the end of the day, in the privacy where the kids can't hear, he's like, oh, that was actually fun. I was like, really? Because you just complained the entire time we were out. Like, I feel like shit now. I don't, pardon my French, like I feel like garbage. Like I am disappointed that I even hung out and did all this, because all it was stressful for me. And I didn't feel an ounce of gratitude or appreciation. And not that that's why I was doing it, but like, it ruined my time. Like, like I should have just went by myself. And eventually that's what I started to do, because it was like, okay, hey, you guys want to go? No, no, fine. And I would go. And if somebody would say they want to go, I would be like, really? Okay, great. And there were times that, I went to go see the Blue Angels with just one of my kids and things like that. And for many years, I thought like it had to be the whole unit, like the 6 of us or none of us. And so if nobody wanted to go, even if I did, I just wouldn't. And so eventually I got to this place that, like I said, with my homework, my first assignments were to like go to a restaurant by myself. After conquering that, eventually over time, I was able to do things like go to the beach or go to a museum, and now I've gone to a movie or any of these things. Like, I'm not going to put my dreams in life and desires aside just because the people around me no longer want to do those things. So I say all that to say, like, it was such a revelation to me that, why it is he is this way. And again, like, I can have sympathy for that, but it also doesn't mean I need to subject myself to triggering environments or low or negative energy. It's just, it is very uncomfortable for me. It feels very unsafe. I don't like the person I become when I'm surrounded in that. So I have to make that conscious decision. As much as I, am kind and I'm like, hey, we may not still be together, but I think that we have this opportunity to navigate co-parenting the way we want to, and it doesn't have to be defined by a book or a movie, and we don't have to hate each other like most exes do. Like, I think that we can still have a mad respect for one another and appreciation, because even as broken as we managed to raise 4 incredible kids. And, as much as I like to take credit for a lot of it because I was so hands-on, I couldn't have done it alone. I mean, I would have, but I didn't. And, I give him credit for that too. I mean, he was able to do things that I wasn't able to do. And so, or he did things that enabled me to have this extra time and space with them. So, like I say, I don't take all the credit. I take a lot of it. But again, it comes down to them individually, and, the influences they have. So, again, I am really open and to be like, hey, yeah, we may not be together as a couple, but we can be totally good friends. And, we can share holidays and experiences together in order to do what's best for the kids and all of us, because we are family regardless if we are husband and wife. Just because we're taking that label off the table, it does not mean that anything. It means whatever we want to define it as, nobody else. And I'm open and willing to say, hey, let's define it. Let's be friends. Let's like be besties. Like, like, I'm good with that. But if he's not, I'm good with that too, because I respect what his boundary is, like his level of comfort. And yeah, that's in my fantasy fairy tale world, we maybe not have worked out as a couple, but we can really be amazing co-parents if we want. But again, I only am one person in that. I can control only me. I cannot control him. So it's up to him to say, hey, if I want that. And if I do, it's an open door. If I don't, I accept that it's not, you know. I would love the opportunity to be able to hang out for the holidays. But again, I have some conditions. I don't want all the negativity and the complaints and all that stuff because that's one of the reasons why I don't want to be with him as a husband and wife, is because the negativity is just too much for me. I cannot operate and function at the levels I want to when I'm in an environment that's continually negative and toxic, in my opinion, like for me. You know, again, and it's like, just as much as like the positivity can be contagious and infectious, so can the negativity. And so, like, you know, again, like I said, here was complaining first thing in the morning, and next thing you know, my daughter was complaining and this and that, and it was just like sent her on this whole turmoil roller coaster, like throughout the day, where it was just like, you know, again, things. And when I said, hey, you know, okay, instead of saying like all the criticisms about what games you don't want to play, like give me some suggestions. And she's like, well, I don't know, you know. So it's like, okay, well, think about it before we're just giving complaints, you know, like, I don't know. So anyways, she ended up being fine at the end of the day. But I think that, you know, it's hard for me, and I think it's hard, like, from, you know, what she's said to me in other situations with other people, it's challenging for her to be around the negative. Because again, when you have a chameleon personality like her and I do, you really do adapt to the room. And again, that's my work, to not become a chameleon. But I do think that there are parts of being a chameleon that also work in my favor, right? So if I'm around the wrong people or negative people or low energy people, it is probably a hindrance, right? Or oftentimes it can also be a reminder of like, hey, this doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel right. But on the same turn, as a chameleon, when I'm with people vibing at a high energy with great, you know, contributions to this world, I am empowered. Like I'm like refueled. I am inspired. I am, you know, contributing too. So it isn't like a bad thing. It's just, I have to learn how to manage it. And this just, again, choose who I choose to be around, like be conscious of it. And so again, I have no desire to change him, but I also have that responsibility myself to not only define, but enforce that boundary for me going forward. And if that means, you know, he says, hey, I'm unwilling to not be negative and complain, then that's going to mean we're not going to be able to spend holidays together. And that's going to be difficult for everybody, but we're going to get over it. Like, I'm not going to sacrifice anymore and say, okay, I'll just take it and I'll learn how to navigate and tiptoe around you and accept these things for perpetuity. I'm not saying that it's going to be perfect in everything in every which way, because I'm not. It takes, like, again, I have a real realization this morning, and then suddenly I take a shower, so I am tested, and I don't really fail, but it does get to me. Like, I'm like, I communicate it, but like, I need to get to that part where it's like, I am like, his comments don't get to me. Like, that's where I'm working towards. And this is what, like I said, I happened to hear after, and they were saying, you know, he just lets it roll right off. And he was like, if I listened to everyone, then I would just be living their life. I would be doing whatever it is that they wanted. And because, you know, I want to help, I want to, you know, take the feedback, I want to do these things. But he's like, if I change to everybody else's wanting and liking and desiring, then I am not being true to myself. And so again, that was like, just like the timing. And I'm going to go back and rewatch it. I actually sent it to myself so that I could like really let it soak in again. And so I may be saying a little bit of it wrong, but I was like, yes, this is literally what I was just writing about and talking about. And it was like, you get me. Like and I almost get me, because I love like evidence. I love like references and like examples. Like it really helps me to like, okay, this is what's happening. And so, we went to this escape room, and you would think there are 8 intelligent people with all different kinds of intelligence. And we did not get out of the we lost. We did not get out of this escape room. So, that was a disappointment. I'm like the kind of panic. I'm like 5 minutes in, I'm like, do you think we should ask for a clue? Like, should we ask for a clue? Should we ask for a clue? And they're like, no. Like and it just showed me in that thing, like how different everybody works, right? Like if I stand back, there's people that were like, I knew it was this, but nobody was saying, but it's like, you can see who's assertive. You can see like who's willing to ask for help, who was obviously me within like minutes. I'm like, let's ask for a clue. Like, let's get some help. Like, and again, like I appreciated that, like some of them I was like, okay guys, just give it a few more minutes. And then I appreciated that part of it, and I was really proud because like in a minute I was like, okay, hold on, like I think this is what it is. Like I figured this one thing out. That was like the one thing I did. I mean, I did other things, but like that was like mine. And it was like, oh, I am smart, like I can figure out stuff. But like, this is our 3rd escape room and our 3rd fail. So I am determined to get us into an escape room that we can actually escape. But if I was stuck in any room with anybody else, it would be the 8 of them. And so it was fun anyway. So we all like, we did that as we had our dinner, we went around the table, and that was everyone's best. And so well worth the experience and the expense and the, time and even the ego blow of losing. So I'm so glad that we will always have that memory. And then we came home, and my son Dylan had set up the cornhole, and oh my God, we call this game totally the wrong name. It's like a ball toss game. We call it something absolutely inappropriate, so I won't say it here in case there's any kids. And I know I feel kind of bad. I'm sorry. I did say SHID, so I'm sorry about that. Yeah. So, yeah, we played out there. It was sunny. Like the neighbors were outside. Kids were riding their bikes. Some kids stopped and watched with his mom. I was this close to being like, you want to come play? Like, come on and join us. And even the kids after were like, we were just waiting for you to like be like, come play. And I was like, I knew you guys would run away. There was no way I was going to do that. I mean, I wanted to, but you guys wouldn't have just hung around and stayed with the kid playing. So he was like a little kid too. So, but my kids are so shy and like socially just not into that kind of stuff. So whatever, I didn't. And then like we saw our neighbors, and we saw like an old coach there. So, it was just a great day. We all had dinner. I worked really hard. Chris worked really hard. Unfortunately, my breadcrumbs, they literally sent me the wrong ones. And so like it may alter the taste, ever so slightly, but it was still good. It was so good just to share, that time at the table. We were all kind of tired at dinner, you could tell. So, everybody after dinner kind of like took a little bit of a lay down for a bit, or I finished my steps up, and I think a couple people took naps, and then we went back out, played a little bit more cornhole again, and then did an evening full of Easter egg hunting and basket opening, and then we played a game of Family Feud, and then there's this game we played Jackbox, and we played a couple of those games on there. So it was a good way to like all be together, do something, work together. So I think a lot of the games we played today were very representative of the Easter spirit for me. So for me, it's about togetherness. It's about working together. It's not about competing against one another per se and having somebody win and somebody lose. It's about the experience, like, of being together and being challenged and communicating with one another. And so it was just a really great day that I'm so appreciative for, and I hope that my memory will hold on to forever and ever. It is just, I feel very lucky and blessed, and I know that my perspective of even the moments that are a little bit more challenging and being able to work through those is such an important thing for me. It is so important for me to understand and to really allow me to be present and not get taken down by somebody else's experience. Like before I would try to fix the negativity. I would be like, but it's not this, and explain and get hurt and then not say anything and then pout. And then, I had a whole different experience than what I did today. Again, I still don't feel like for me, I got it 100% right, but I understand that I didn't, and I'm willing to work and take my accountability and take my parts and say, what parts did I like? I like that you advocated for yourself. I like that you stood up and said, hey, that really hurts my feelings. I worked really hard and we haven't even gone yet, and you're already over here complaining and being negative. Like, if you have anything to say, like, say something nice, or I don't know, go create your own plan. Like, don't just knock mine. And there was no apology, and there probably never will be, and that's okay. Like, but what to me it shows is, like, I'm willing to stand up for myself now, where before I wasn't. And so, like, I listen to this Mr. Rogers thing. I always send it to my kids, and it's like, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I hope that you are proud of you too. So I hope that you did something today for yourself that you are proud of. Because today I'm really proud that I stood up for myself. I'm really proud that I was able to do my little part to help bring together 8 people. I'm really proud that I was able to send messages to a couple of my friends and say happy Easter. I'm really proud that even on a holiday when the day is busy, I still found time to film with you. And I'm really proud of my work to try and connect with other people and help them to learn through my crazy lessons, and have this documentation so that my kids and my kids' kids can one day look back and be like, oh, now I get it. They don't get it. They don't always get me or get things, because heck, I don't even always get me. But as I'm trying to figure it out and realize it, I hope that they can see why I am the way I am, why I did the things I did, and understand, most importantly, that it all came from a place of love. And I know it didn't always feel like it. It always didn't seem like it, but there is nothing I would do to intentionally harm those humans. And on the contrary, I just want the absolute best for them. And I want the absolute best for you too. And so I really hope that there was a lesson here. Maybe you can connect to, maybe you have somebody who has really triggering holidays too, and you can relate to that. And if you do, I'm sorry. Like, it's really difficult. Or maybe you're the triggered one and you're like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, like my childhood was rough. The holidays were terrible, like, and I get triggered around it. And now I'm seeing, somebody else be like this perfect Pollyanna for the holidays. And I had chopped liver, like, whatever it is, like, I hope that there's something here that connects with you. And if not, then at least you just, heard the little gossip for the day of my life. So thank you so much for tuning in. I am so proud of you. I am so grateful for you, and appreciative that of all the things you could be doing right now, of all the things you could be listening to, you're sitting here and listening to me. Like, that is not lost on me. I appreciate you so much. So if you can do me just one favor today, just go out there, give somebody a smile, give them a compliment, and just watch how they glow up. So thank you so much. Bye.